Yeah, everybody admitted. All righty. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another weekly DaaS workshop. Now, last Tuesday, there was no workshop on this particular day and call because I had a scheduled vacation day. I think I told some of you guys in the comments or some people messaged me, but yeah, I had a scheduled vacation day with my daughter. Every summer, we do some day trips, and this one I planned well over a month ago. And I don't always look forward to see if they coincide with my workshop. So my bad there. But yeah, we spent the day out in Rhode Island and some state parks and then Newport Beach. And then we caught a Sox game for the nightcap. It was their seventh win in a row at Fenway Park. So that was a cool thing to be a part of. My daughter had a great time. But I couldn't be on a workshop and doing all that. So back this week as usual. I see we have a few less people, and maybe I'm not sure if because I wasn't here last week, some people removed it from the calendar. But either way, that means we might get some personal time and be able to dive into a little more one-on-one stuff. Before I kick off, like how I'm going to start and what I do every week, Mark, I see you already have your hand raised. Why don't you go ahead if you have an initial question or something you joined for specifically? Happy to hit that first and foremost for you.
Well, I probably have enough problems to fill the hour, but
Oh, lucky me.
no, my main question, I've been trying to use audience and of course our data to do cold emails. It's been uh, back road driving, a lot of bumpy roads and ruts and getting stuck and wheels breaking off. And my
Okay.
wheel just literally, all my wheels just fell off. They shut me down because I'm not supposed to be sending cold emails.
Who's
And
they? Who's the they here?
the tech support on audience end. And
Tech support. I'll have to look
yeah,
into that.
so I was having great deliverability, I think.
No,
Um,
no, we've been seeing it
and
through our beta
and th
testing.
and then all of a sudden, boom, my bounce rate went up into the teens. And I'm trying to figure it out. And anyways, they shut me down. And I don't know why, 'cause there's no clarity into why it's bouncing, like no data, like no error messages, because I don't get access to that.
Okay.
And I got like a virtual finger pointing at my nose, like you're not supposed to be sending cold emails or use lists or anything like that. And they told me to delete all my contacts. And I was just following what they told me to do
Yeah,
because
this is the first time I've heard this.
yeah,
So I'm going to get with my tech team and look into it today. I don't,
yeah,
again, literally the first time I've heard or seen this.
yeah, it's
What I would recommend at minimum, while the transition, and if you're seeing problems, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have another ESP, another email
yeah,
service provider, especially if you're seeing these bugs. Now, through most of what we did internally before we released it to you guys and the few clients we baited with, we saw a lot higher deliverability, open rates, and we didn't see anything like this. I mean, we're using it in our
mhm.
own account and nothing's
Yeah.
been shut down. So I got to look into this and figure this
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I post this up and I've been talking to Rohi.
Row.
Yeah, Ro, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's well aware of it, my situation. But what I was gonna ask is like, okay, I'm stuck in the mud. Um, beyond email, because if I go to another ESP, obviously that takes a warm-up time, like a month or so. And so that's not a solution because I need to do this now. So I'm trying to figure out I'm
You
gonna
shouldn't need a
use.
warm up time to switch providers if the domain's already warmed up. There would be a little ramp up time. It definitely wouldn't be a month. I mean, you're probably talking 4 to 7 days tops if you're already using warmed up domains and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's one domain because,
Domain, yep. Singular,
yeah,
plural doesn't matter. The point being, if it's, if that's not brand new and that's already had traffic and validation to it, that's what needs the warming up, not necessarily the like, let's say you went with Smart Leader instantly. It's not the
yeah.
ESP and the software that needs warming up. You know what I mean?
Um, so on that, I mean, I'll work on that, the email part, but I'm kind of okay. Besides email, I was thinking, there's LinkedIn tools out there, and I don't know what experience or thoughts or throw me something.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, same thing, included in the resources and the things I give away every week within the DaaS client checklist, which I can bring up and share on my screen, and I will momentarily. But just to address your question specifically, number 11 on that has a YouTube video says starting my DaaS agency from scratch, right? And then I go through outreach methods, specifically cold email and LinkedIn. And within there, I give away templates, frameworks, how you should have your profile optimized. I mean, everything and the templates and descriptions are right down in there for the best
Yeah.
practices and what you can do. Now, again, let's just say, even if it's 4 to 7 days, maybe longer, but let's just say best case scenario, you have emails up running in 4 to 7 days. In the meantime, you could certainly be going through and starting that LinkedIn stuff 100%.
Yeah.
In terms of automations and tools, I've used those once I got to scale. Now, I normally do it somewhat manually initially to validate messaging and really get my audience dialed in and make sure I'm targeting the right business owners, decision makers. Once I have validation and I'm seeing positive replies from messaging, then I'll go to like an automation, a sales navigator. There's all kinds of tools. Sales navigator is probably the most known. We switched to a different one like 8 or 10 months ago, but it really does the same exact thing, same exact parameters. It was just a little cheaper. And again, I don't even know the one we went with now because we have a team member that runs that, but it's the same overall thing. It was just a cheaper contract or something. Something our vendors always do to lower costs, right? They're always looking for similar comparables at, lower pricing. But yeah, when we do our LinkedIn outreach, what I generally do is I start with about 25 direct contact approaches, whether that's new contacts not already in my network. Ideally, hell, if we already have those people in our network on LinkedIn, I'll be hitting that warm people first. People already, but let's just say we're adding cold people. Maybe we have a LinkedIn network, but it's not our ideal audience, right? We're shooting for something different. That's what's going to be most common for most people doing LinkedIn outreach. They might have a network of all kinds of people, but they're going after roofers or plumbers or agency owners or whatever. So we want to target those people, add those people, get about 25 validated and to connect with you, send them messaging, and then let's see, are we getting at least 20% positive responses minimum on those messaging? Once I see that, then I might start to scale up those campaigns, feed that, data into Sales Navigator and say, hey, this is the type of person I'm trying to hit. This is the initial. And you can script out I only recommend when I'm doing outreach through automations, I only script out the initial message. I don't like to have message 2 and 3 and 4 automated because I really like to openly assess and give, really custom recommendations and suggestions in my second and third message. So I don't want AI doing it. Once I get things validated and I see, I'm sending the same message 95% of the time, yeah, then I'll automate that too, and so on and so forth. So it's just subtle tweaks, but right off the bat, 25 outreach approaches, get those connected, hit them with messages, seeing if we're at least getting about a 20% reply or raising hand, and then you could scale it up and automate from there. The video, that's again number 11 on the checklist, and I'll drop that here, guys, for anyone else interested. I know a lot of you guys on the call have it, but I'll put it here again. That video goes through my best approaches and then all the templates, examples of some of my best clients' LinkedIn profiles and how they're set up and optimized, and kind of all the frameworks and foundations I would use to do LinkedIn outreach.
Okay, cool. And if anyone from tech support wants to actually go through my stuff, just reach out to me.
Okay, cool. I may have them do that. Yeah, this is the first I've heard of it. So I'm definitely going to be looking into that like almost immediately after the call. I have one more back to back, but after that, I'm going to be diving into that and figuring it out because I want to see what happened there.
Okay, appreciate it.
Great questions, though. Great questions. And then again, I know there's some newer people on here that I've that just enrolled recently. Maybe I've had a one-on-one call. I think I see a couple of people on here I haven't had one-on-one calls with, which means you're either in the incubator program where you don't actually get that one-on-one call with me. That's a resource for our DaaS clients and more for resellers, or you're really new and within the last week or two, and maybe you just haven't booked that. And then we have guys like Aaron that just enrolled and was on my calendar within 48 hours. I love the ambition and the people that do that. I was saying to my team, Aaron, I was like, very few people actually get in and go through the materials and book the call this quick. On average, people usually get in my calendar maybe 7 to 10 days after they enroll. And then a majority of people are 2 weeks and more out. And that's fine if you're, if you're doing this casually or you want to ramp up on materials. But again, on that call, I kind of give everybody structure. I feel like prior to a one-on-one call, when anybody comes in specifically to a DaaS program, there's kind of a lot of confusion in terms of there's a lot of tutorials, there's a lot of workshops, there's a lot of posts, there's a lot of tech issues, right? What's actually going on? And there's just a lot of confusion. I just clarify and say, hey, man, step 1, 2, and 3, this is what I would focus on now. Let's get the first 2, 3 clients under our belt, and then let's focus on level 2. Level 3, right? And I think a lot of people honestly try to hit level 2, 3, and 4 and 10, 20, 30K a month before they land that first client or two. It's like with anything, you got to crawl before you walk before you run, so on and so forth, right? That's probably the biggest foundation in building a successful business. And one of the biggest pitfalls is people trying to skip steps or trying to get to scale before they're in grow mode, right? Vice versa. There's just all kinds of little things. So I like to simplify and chunk it down to 3 steps at a time. What 3 things do I focus on immediately or this week? Boom, let's do those. Next week, I'll have 3 new things. And then we're always progressing. I don't think any of us in our business ever expect to or will achieve perfection, but there's constant progression. And that's what makes businesses successful, thrive, and ultimately be able to reach scale mode, right? So a lot of that's going to go into the foundational stuff about what I discuss here today. But again, as we usually kick off these DaaS workshops, I'm going to start with some results that I like to share with you guys. And again, I didn't host this workshop last week. I don't think I showed you our end of month numbers. I just like to always be very transparent and show you what we're seeing in terms of results, what we're spending, what we're bringing in each month, and just be very transparent. I like to do that and show you with our messaging, our marketing, our ads, like everything we're doing to be successful. There's clues there. Do you want to copy and paste what we're doing? No, because you guys are selling it a little different. You're targeting a little different niche, but all the winning frameworks and formula is in there. So I like to be very transparent. So I'm going to start with some results, and then I'll go through drop that checklist and the resources I normally give to your guys. So let me share entire screen so I don't leave out any tabs. Really quick, this is the checklist. I'm going to go back to that in a minute. But in terms of results and what we saw here at Audience Lab, just to show you guys, again, I'm going to go to end of month numbers because I don't think I did a workshop or showed this yet here in August. No, I definitely didn't, based on the date we're at, because I didn't host last week's workshop on the 5th. But basically, this is what we saw. And when I show you guys this channel, just for anyone that's new or seeing these results, this is, although at the top the channel says closed deals and cash collected, it should specify this is all new cash collected. So just from our ad and email campaigns primarily is what you're seeing here. We do use 4 approaches of outreach, and I'll go over the other 2 in a minute. But what you're going to see in this Slack channel is generated primarily from our ads and our email, and I'll go over that momentarily. Now, new cash collected means from our ads and emails and marketing efforts because it's July. I would say what we've done in June and July leads to the real July revenue. It doesn't all come immediately. Some is probably from the marketing efforts we did the prior month. And then some of August's deals will be from this month's marketing as well as July's. That takes a little time to convert or come over, right? But we saw about 126,500 in new cash collected as a company and about 111,000 in new MRR. The only difference there, guys, is new cash collected is what has already been obviously processed and into our merchant. New MRR just means it's on the books for, since this was July, on the books for August, September, and beyond, right? So that's billable revenue in the following months, okay? So that's a good example of what we saw. Now, to get that production, there is obviously going to be marketing efforts, right? And again, so this channel and these totals are going to show primarily our 2 of our predominant 4 outreach or acquisition methods. Now, internally, guys, we use paid ads, we use cold email I'm just going to put email all over one, but cold email is how we get new people. Obviously, warm and nurture sequences. You're warming up and just really bringing people across the pipeline, right? But I'm just going to say ads, email. We use what's called mutually beneficial partners. Some people call them JVs. Some people call it, my Dream 100, whatever the heck you want to use to call it. That's our 3rd one. And our 4th one is organic outreach. Any of you guys that know me and my initial background, I started with all organic outreach. That's how we built our first company. Hell, PDOC's the foundation to Audience Lab, my first company, is all built around communication and organic outreach. With everything we did in that business, we took all the highlights of what works organically and we converted it into paid, and we really kind of knew through kind of, throwing it through our PDOC system, for lack of a better phrase, what was already going to win with paid ads. Anything you can validate and get consistent results from organically, email campaigns, DM outreach, somebody's always raising their hand. I'm going to take that angle and go put it in paid, and I kind of already know it's going to work because my ideal audience has already showed me they're biting at it, and they're biting at it repetitively, right? So I love to always, personally, before I take anything to paid in any of my businesses and offers. And we did the same with Audience Lab. When we first launched this company in late 21, early 22, our first 8 months, we didn't do any ad spend for this company. We did MVPs. We did a lot of beta deals. We just did small little organic deals. And we wanted to really bolster our technology and our platform through having users on it. So we just kept it little, made it, got the right people through, and got all the data we needed to optimize and improve, which led to where we're at today. It's all the feedback. Hey, if you guys had this tool, that'd be great. Hey, if you guys could make this integrate, that would be great. Anything you guys told us, and we heard over and over again, well, if 10 of our clients want it, so are 10 that are going to come down the road and 10 down the road. So we would get that feedback and build it in. Is it all seamless and does it all happen like that? Hell no, especially with a technology platform and diving into all the data that we process. There's a lot of bumps in the road, but the end product and the way the platform is working now, again, Mark's bug today with audience send. I'm not necessarily speaking about that. That's a newer product, and let us vet that out a little more. I know what I've seen have been great results, but I'm just talking about Audience Lab itself with the identity resolution, with the in-market audiences, with the intent features, the things like that, that the data that's coming out right now is second to none. The people that know what they're doing and know how to extract the proper lists and embed them into the proper marketing channels are seeing great results. That's because the data is accurate and it works, right? But there is a learning curve for both users as well as the, kind of developers and the creators behind the platform. And I think that's ongoing forever, right? But again, our 4 channels, I kind of went on a tangent. I do that from time to time, but our 4 channels, again, ads, email, JVs or mutually beneficial partnerships, and organic outreach. Now, again, in my other company, I run a program called DM Setter Academy, where I place appointment setters into clients' businesses and give them all the training to go get results. Don't think I don't kind of drink my own Kool-Aid. That's what I have people doing that are bringing in our deals organically. I don't really do a lot of organic outreach anymore. I'm great at it, but it's not where my time is best spent in my company, especially when I can teach 5 guys to do 70% of what I'm doing. I'd rather have 5 guys at 70% of my capability than me at 100% and taking away my, other aspects of the business that I have to tend to and be present in. So in terms of what we saw just for July with our marketing campaigns through our email and our ads, we saw 454 booked calls and booked appointments here in the month of July, right? 319 through paid ads and 135 through our that's more of our warm email sequence. We normally get people in our cold email. Generally, we'll send people into either an ad funnel occasionally, but more so it sends them into our workshops, our webinars, our other warm emails where we're dropping value. And then once somebody has opted into any call to action, they've attended a workshop, they've booked a call and maybe no show, then they go into what's called a reactivation or a nurture sequence that we send out, and we rebook people in on that daily. Obviously, you don't get 135 appointments through email a month if you're not getting them consistently daily, right? That just wouldn't happen. And also, as I like to say, this is one of the simplest prime examples of offsetting advertising or marketing costs. So when it's tallying up our numbers here and showing you, like, for instance, the last day of July, it's showing you that we booked 9 appointments on 1,300 in ad spend that specific day, which averages out to $146 per appointment. It's actually not taking into account the other 3. So if we book 12 appointments now at $1,315, this offsetting cost in this case goes down to somewhere around $109 or $111 per appointment instead of $146, which makes a big difference. Everybody's always trying to combat rising ad costs with a number of different ways. Our platform and great targeted audiences is step 1. But something a lot of businesses don't do is simple marketing that can offset ad costs by free methods like email and hitting your warm audience and getting them to re-opt in when they didn't show up or when they attended a workshop and loved your value but didn't actually click your call to action. You got to follow up with those guys and you got to hit them multiple times through multiple channels effectively, which is what we do. Right? A lot of these reactivation ones, I would like to say out of the month or year, whenever I break it down, out of these 135, probably 20 to 30% came from a paid ad initially, didn't show up, and we get them back in. So that's also helping recoup costs. We can track appointment costs, but then we also have to track cost per qualified appointment, where they show up and they fit the parameters for an ideal client. So I know that's a lot of metrics and a lot of maybe higher level stuff I'm throwing at you, but it's relevant throughout the whole process. Whenever we start doing paid marketing specifically is where we really look to offset costs. If we're doing everything organically now, that's fine too, but we're probably doing it with the goal and the objective to get up to a certain level and a certain profitability organic so we can then reinvest into our own ads out of profit rather than out of pocket. And then this would certainly apply at that point, right? So that's why I think it's relevant for everybody. Rather, this is applicable today in your business, next month, or next year. These are very valuable, simple things to remember that that lead to ultimate results and profitability within a company. We can all stay open, we can all bring in revenue, but you can only operate so long if you're not profitable. I don't care who you are. Eventually, the well runs dry, and eventually, you only have so much hair you can pull out, guys. So profitability is certainly a key factor in a successful, sustainable, if I could speak, it'd be even better, business, right? So now, guys, I'll go over that checklist really quick for anybody that hadn't seen it before or wasn't sure what I was referencing. Let me go. Oh, it's logged in from the wrong account again. Hold on 1 minute. Keeps happening on my Google accounts, just so I can get you guys the right link. But I'm going to drop the link in here and I'll explain it for anybody that hasn't seen it. What I was talking about earlier when I referenced this was number 11 on here. And I'm going to go through all this, but number 11 is literally something I filmed maybe about 3 months ago, guys, where I just put my shoes in the guy who just enrolled into DaaS. I did this more from the low fulfillment model perspective. Now, it would certainly be applicable if we have a full stack or multiple service agency as well. But I really wanted to highlight how you can do this with a low fulfillment model and what to really look for in terms of how to do your outreach, effectively and make sure, I would say the big difference between the low fulfillment and the more full stack agencies, as I say to all of you guys individually, is kind of two things. One thing is if we have the more low fulfillment, hands-off, style of DaaS agency, we're going to be open to less of the market. Why? Because we have to work with more sophisticated, established clients that know what to do with the data, because we, for whatever reason, acumen, skill set, time, infrastructure, we don't want to run all the reactivating campaigns. We don't want to run the ads, the emails, the LinkedIn, whatever they're doing to reactivate. We don't necessarily want to or have to fulfill for that. So you're going to be open to a little less market, which means to be successful with that, you really have to make sure you're targeting people that, if you ask them the question, hey, Aaron, if I give you this data, do you guys know how to weaponize and monetize it? If everybody you're asking is saying no, you're targeting the wrong person. You're going to have a very difficult time with a low fulfillment model agency. You're going to have to do one of two things. You're going to have to partner with somebody for that fulfillment, outsource that aspect. And I personally, as a business owner, don't like outsourcing things that are outside of my control, right? It's just a personal thing. Everybody can do whatever you want. There are great fulfillment partners. I'm not saying there aren't, but there's probably a lot more nightmare fulfillment partners than there are great ones. So just operate with caution if you're going to go that route. Or you have to take the time and compromise on your low fulfillment model agency and say, all right, I'm going to cave and I'm going to go learn that stuff, or I'm going to, I'm just going to break my commitment and I'm going to do that. And I see a lot of people do that. As soon as the client says, no, I can't reactivate that, I don't know what to do with it, Aaron, they'll be like, oh, we can do it for you, even though they go into the call saying, we're a low fulfillment model agency, we don't work with those people. As soon as they say they need it, all of a sudden they figure out how to offer it, right? So that's number one. Just make sure if you want to be low fulfillment, you're targeting businesses, set some prerequisites. How long have they been around? Do they have an existing marketing budget? Do they have a media buyer and an ad team? How much revenue do they do a year? You're going to see some commonalities where you hit a certain number and you're working with all companies that know what to do with that, right? So set the right prerequisites and only really reach out to business owners that can succeed with the services or the offers you're providing. I would say the other difference, very simply, it's kind of common sense, being a hands-off low fulfillment model agency rather as opposed to a full stack one that runs, activation services and stuff for clients, you're going to be able to charge more because you're offering more value and more services, right? So you're going to charge a little less with a low fulfillment model agency, but generally speaking, the margins are way higher, if it's done right. So I'm going to go over this checklist. I see that I did copy the link, I think, already, but I didn't go throw it in the chat. So let me do that. Chat. Here's the link right now getting dropped into the Zoom chat right here on the screen. And again, just really quickly, I put this together after speaking with over 150 clients and really determining what made people successful as opposed to the non-successful clients. I put the common 7 things I saw from all of our successful DaaS clients above line 8, required for success. Again, DaaS clients, some of you incubator clients don't have access to all these resources quite yet. So don't feel like you're lost or you didn't get it. You don't get access to this. Some of this is just for DaaS clients because the big differentiator between incubator and DaaS is, generally speaking, incubator, you either got in there to try it out for yourself and get some results, or maybe to work with one client, but there's no way you have enough data in that plan to build a full resellers agency. You get like 2 lists per month, right? You can really only work with 1-2 clients tops. And you get 2 pixels with, I don't know, I think 1,000 matches per pixel in that. So again, you could set it onto 2 clients' websites, both of them that aren't high traffic, all high volume type of companies. Easy to sell those couple of services, get a quick return, and then upgrade to DaaS. That's what I've seen a lot of our successful incubator clients do. And then when you do that, you get the one-on-one call and access to all this when you really get into reseller mode. So that's the big difference. I want to give everybody, whether you're an incubator or not, that's why I just dropped it in the chat, access to all this stuff, but you may not have got all the resources or the one-on-one calls if you're not in that select program. Now, again, the things below line 10, these says additional / bonus featured and recommended tutorials and resources for your success. Out of those successful clients that I talked about in that 150, I would say anywhere between 20 and 80% told me a lot of these resources or templates or tutorials were very, very effective in their success and made a big difference. Or a couple of things just made it very easy to find. Like I kept getting asked on number 16 about where they find contract templates and how to set that up, right? Very, very simple. We've updated the classroom section in school, but there's one specific thing, right? When you click classroom, you scroll down till you see contracts and templates, and boom, it's right there. And then there's a little tutorial on the difference between our MSA agreement, which is called our master service agreement, and our SOW agreement, which stands for our statement of work agreement. Little tutorial telling you when each one is more applicable, and then gives you the ability to download whichever one, both of them, but you're only going to need one of them per agreement, right? So go through there. They're both very small tutorials, give a quick overview of what they do, when they're applicable, and then you just go in there and download it anytime you need one and customize it to that particular, contract, that particular client. But again, a lot of these resources were very, very helpful. So I'm going to go into a lesson on one of these very quickly, and I'm going to definitely leave time for a Q&A. The one other thing I'm going to go drop in the chat that I drop here every week is the 8 links or resources that I provide in terms of everything you guys need as a seller to go close data deals and clients. So the full sales process tutorial on that, ideas of great creative and copy and email messaging we've had success with, a script for your triage call, a script for your sales call, the pitch deck we provide you guys that has nothing branded to Audience Lab. Make a copy, make it your own with your branding, your imaging, business name. More pixel pricing tools and strategies. And then about this last document, about 20 of my call recordings. Hear the verbiage, the word tracks, the way I'm relational on calls, and pick up whatever you can that you can merge into your own sales style and your own calls. And you're going to see some big differences in terms of conversions. So again, this resource I like to drop every time. So let me go throw that one in the chat. And there you go. So there's 2 links I dropped. The top one is the checklist or the spreadsheet, and the bottom one is what you're looking at on my screen here now in the DaaS reseller resources. That's me starting my own business, then happy to expand it. Yeah, 100%, Joey. That's why you came in to the incubator, which is the right program for you, 100%. Oh, 1 minute here. Toolbar's in my way, but it says I have new admittees, and it's not letting me click. There we go, participants. Perfect. Sorry about that, guys. Sometimes Zoom software still kind of baffles me on they always put the toolbar like right in front of a button you need to click. There you go. That person is in. So when I talked about going through a little bit of a lesson, and then again, guys, I'm going to leave time for a Q&A. But in terms of like some of these resources down here, one thing that has been very essential and relevant to my success, I think this comes into play both in how we do our front end marketing all the way through the sales process. And I've only taught it once ever, and I've been doing these workshops for over a year straight. So in the last, 52 weeks, I've only taught this once. So I doubt any of you guys have really seen it, but that's going through and understanding our EAACO frameworks and EAACO scripts, as I like to call them. Now, really quickly, EAACO stands for engage, assess, assign, call to action, and obligation. It's basically the 5 steps in any acquisition and lead generation booking process, whether I'm doing this through paid ads, whether I'm doing it through email, specifically. And a lot of my frameworks with this go back to, my initial organic outreach and how I train my DM setter team. But we always have to first engage them with whatever we're doing, right? Our ad, our copy, our email, our open, our subject line, our hook in our email, like all that stuff has to engage them. And then ultimately, we need to assess where they're at, which 2 weeks ago's workshop, which guys, just so you know, if you go into the school and then the sales channel, all of my replay workshops are posted later that same day. So if I ever reference one and you haven't seen it, it's always in school in the sales channel. This one that I'm referencing would be the last one I posted because I was off last week. But last week, I really dove in, 2 weeks ago, I really dove into the assess phase. So the assess phase is done through a knowledge gap analysis, and I broke that down in depth. And then we get into assign, which is, I like to say, assigning a new frame. So in any marketing, I think one of the biggest red flags I see is when people make an offer or offer a solution before they ever assess where you're at, right? Where are you at in your business? Where are you trying to get to? And what's been that big hurdle or roadblock or challenge? Before I know that, it's kind of dumb of me to just say, hey, Aaron, what if I could get you 20 extra new calls or you don't pay? Like that was the example. I did a little post on my Facebook, maybe, I don't know, earlier this week, kind of making fun of that generic bullshit outreach. Like, this girl Jessica that did it to me, and I didn't use any more of her name or likeness. I just said Jessica. Nobody knows who that is, but she's a DM center. I can see this a mile away. And her initial message is, "Hey Ray, awesome. Looks like you run a couple different digital businesses. Hey, what if we could book you 20 to 30 appointments per month, or we don't pay?" My response, again, I don't know if it's word for word. It's back on my Facebook page, but it was, "Hey Jessica, I'm not sure if you know or looked much into what we do, but we booked 454 calls last month for our sales team. I really doubt we could survive without the extra 20 or 30 you're going to provide. Do better," or something like that. I was a little rude in a sense, but I'm just proving a point. Like, you're kind of making an ass out of yourself because you're assuming 20 or 30 appointments is going to be a difference maker in my business. It might be for a lot of business owners. It's not for me. So that all comes down to one of the most integral aspects of marketing that a lot of people don't talk about and overlook. And I hammer home, and you guys have heard me say it or not a lot. Understand the awareness and or sophistication level of who you're reaching out to. I can almost guarantee this Jessica never went and looked over my profile, never really went and looked at any of my content or what I'm posting, because if she would have saw just my recent 5 posts with our marketing numbers, the amount of revenue I've done, she probably would have known that 20 or 30 calls per month isn't a deal breaker for me. But I guarantee you she didn't do any of that stuff. So before I ever make my offer, and I don't even like to do that until I inject what I would say recommendations or solutions. And to do that properly, I need to assess where somebody's at. For instance, I'm going to say something a lot different to a guy hovering around or just trying to get over 10K per month than I am to the business owner already doing 6 figures plus per month. Like, those conversations are night and day. I'm not going to say the same thing when I enter that conversation to those two people. They're at totally different levels, and I'm going to approach them in totally different ways because I know how either established or sophisticated they are in terms of where they're at as a business owner, right? And so many people just overlook that and make blanket assumptions or do templated messaging. Hey, this is going to work for everybody. If your message is going to work for everybody, that means you have some generic commoditized product that doesn't stand out and you really think you can help everybody. And the biggest lie and rule of marketing is when you're speaking to everybody, you're really speaking to nobody. Even if you can help everybody, you need to niche down your message so it actually feels like you're speaking to your ideal audience. I don't care if you really can help everybody. I really don't think anybody can. Number one, I don't think everybody will ever need the exact same product, solution, or service. And number two, I don't think everybody can afford everybody's product or service. So I think you're really naive if you think you can actually help everybody. But even if you believe that to be true, maybe you have free products, so that's not a problem. You could have free stuff. Still, not everybody's going to want to consume it or implement and go through it. So you really got to know who can benefit from your product or services, and to do that, you need to assess where they're at. So the EAACO framework, again, stands for engage, which we like to engage the croc brain for anybody that's done a little research into that. And there are 2 methods we kind of do to acknowledge the prospect's pain points where they allow us to begin assessing. And I'll dive into those a little lower. Then we get into the assessment phase. So once we've engaged the croc brain, the prospect walls start to come down and you can begin assessing where they're at. And I don't mean doing that in a very kind of interrogative way, like you're scripted. Hey, Aaron, how much current money are you currently making? Hey, Aaron, how much would you like to be making? Hey, Aaron, what's been the biggest? Like, I don't ask like that. I'm like, cool, Aaron. So it looks like you guys have been in business a couple of years. Just kind of curious, where are you at? Where are you trying to get to? And has there been any challenges or hangups in trying to reach that goal? Right. But I'm just going to come in casually and make it one quick question. I'm not going to say, like, a lot of people feel like you're just interrogating them and trying to collect data. You need to do it more from a relational standpoint. Hey, Aaron, so I can give you the best suggestions and recommendations. You might tell me a little about your business, where you're at, where you're trying to get to, some of the hurdles in that process, and they're going to open up to you because you're coming from
just genuine curiosity.
100%, 100%. And genuine human relations, right? That's what's missing a lot in marketing. Everything's got so templatized, automated, AI, robotic, that people are starting to just mimic that behavior, and it's becoming part of your persona. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't even realize they're doing it. And a lot of people, it's not their fault. That's the way they were shown, and they think they're doing it right. And that sucks. I hate to be the one to wake people up, but I'd rather be the one to wake them up than let them keep being naive and doing shit a bad way or, disgenuine, ineffective, all those things. Yeah, so assess, right? And really, because we want to find out some of their hurdles and what's been stopping them reaching their goal. I mean, if we don't know that, it's very hard to give a valuable, customized recommendation or suggestion. I mean, I think everyone would agree there. And once we know that, we can assign the frame. And that's where we inject what's called a knowledge gap. First, we have to assess, which is called the knowledge gap analysis. We're assessing where they're at, how established they are, what they've done, what they're struggling with, what their biggest roadblock is. And then we can assign a new frame, which I call a knowledge gap. A knowledge gap is simply a messaging entry point into the conversation custom to that person. So for most business owners, and if you guys go back and watch mine from 2 weeks ago, I usually come up with somewhere between 6 and 10 knowledge gaps or entry points into conversations with your marketplace, depending on what bucket they fall into in your the way I do it, I kind of call it a knowledge gap tree. The way it comes down, it just kind of comes down in a tree shape. And each branch is kind of a different level of sophistication. The bigger branches have been grown longer. They've been in business longer. I'm going to treat those different than a smaller branch that grew yesterday. I could snap off without any force, right? Very similar kind of analogy there, right? But I like to inject a knowledge gap very specific to them. So, hey, Ray, I'm over 10K months. I am charging high ticket. I am already booking calls, but I'm still enrolling less than 4 clients a month. So now that I know all that, I can say, hey, it looks like you said you're getting in plenty of conversations, but you're only enrolling 4 clients per month. It sounds to me like you're having a conversion problem with your existing conversations. So rather than going out and continuing to create a whole bunch of new conversations, why don't we work on converting the ones we're already having before we scale out and continue more conversations? Does that make sense, Mr. Prospect? He's going to be like, hell yeah. Everyone else just tells me to go out and keep creating more conversations and eventually people will convert. No, we're doing something wrong if we're not converting. Let's fix that before we kind of dump more water in the cup. Let's plug the holes and then dump the water in so it actually stays in the cup. You know what I mean? So once we say that to the business owner, what happens when we do this properly is their train of thought is, hey, what Ray said totally makes sense. No one's really told me that approach before. How do I find out more? And then we can get into step 4, a call to action, right? Now that they're interested. And when I always do this in the same kind of manner, I say, hey, Aaron, this is what we do when we work with our clients. This is where most people go wrong. Does that make sense? And then I wait for what I call the frame of acceptance, meaning a strong frame of acceptance is, yeah, Ray, that totally makes sense. Cool. He's kind of all in. A mid or medium frame of acceptance might be something like, Ray, that kind of makes sense, but I don't see how that would work in my business. Or, Ray, that kind of makes sense, but I've heard a different strategy from somebody else. Then I would go in a little more depth and make myself stand out. And a low or weak frame to acceptance means we probably have the wrong knowledge gap or we said the wrong thing. I rarely get this, but what would happen is, Ray, that makes no sense. That wouldn't work for my business. Or Ray, everybody's already taught me that and told me that. I've already tried that, right? If we're getting those responses, we're not being very good with our analysis or the assigned frame, one of those two sections. Usually it's kind of in tandem. They kind of go hand in hand. But sometimes it can just be one of those as a subtle tweak. But when I get a strong frame of acceptance, I just go right into the call to action, which is usually something like, okay, Aaron, great. I'm glad that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you over this free training I filmed, exactly how we help business owners like you already having exist conversations, convert more of them. And then what I highly recommend, totally up to you, Aaron, feel free to take me up on this or not, book a one-on-one call with myself, go through that 5-minute tutorial I send you, and then we have a little blueprint session on exactly how we can implement this process into your business. And we visit some of the results, expectations, and when we can expect to see that. If it all lines up and we want to work together, cool. If not, you at least have a free game plan on how to proceed, right? Boom, boom, boom. And then obligation is, I kind of throw a little into the call to action, meaning the homework, the video. You can also throw it in the obligation phase, but the obligation is more touch point messaging. I actually mix the homework more into the call to action. Then the touch point is, we just had this conversation. He replies, yeah, Ray, I'm looking forward to the video and I'd be happy to speak with you for 15 minutes, whatever. Cool. Here's my booking link and look forward to speaking with you. Then I see he booked, say, 48 hours out. Okay. So then I'm going to send a 24-hour touch point message a day before the call. Hey, Aaron, I know we're booked for tomorrow about 3 p.m. Just wanted to make sure your calendar still jives with that. And hey, did you get a chance to go through that video I sent you yet? Question mark. Have them re-engage and make sure they're consuming some content in between that 48-hour session. I see a lot of business owners booking the call and they start celebrating. Win, I got somebody booked on my calendar. No more engagement, no more content, no more. And then they just expect them to show up and they wonder why they get shitty show rates of 30, 40%. That's why exactly you're not doing touch point messaging. You're not keeping them engaged with content, and you're not staying in communication with them over that 48 hours. They forget, they book another call. You just don't seem important to them at that point, right? All those things. So I like to mix in a minimum of 2 obligation messages, especially if I'm just doing this manually and I'm just starting out organically. Maybe at scale and in GHL and warm bookings and automations, depending on my flow, I might have more than 2, but at minimum 2. And that's what I would do if I'm doing it manually. A 24-hour touch point message and then a 30 to 60 minute, whatever you find out works better for you. I'm not saying both, one or the other. I've generally found 30 minutes, a little closer to the call is better. Hey, Aaron, everything's looking good in my schedule still. I'm on time for our call here in 30 minutes. Looking forward to seeing you. Talk soon. Boom. That's it, right? And then he's going to say, great, see you then. Or he's going to show up, or he might come back and say, hey, Ray, something came up and I'm running a little late. Good. I'd rather figure that out 30 minutes before the call than when I hop on the call and he's not there, right? So all these aspects or components we all do in every step of our process. Do we realize it, and do we know that it's broken down into this formula? Probably not, if we don't really think about it and make it a priority to kind of realize that stuff. But we all do this. If we don't engage with nobody, we never get into a conversation or assess. And if we don't properly assess, it's very hard to assign. If we skip any of these steps, we're just making assumptions and jumping the gun, and it's probably severely hampering our overall conversion rates and probably our perception in the client's eyes of how legit, credible, validated, whatever word you want to throw out. I mean, there's a big gap in the market in terms of trust. Everybody's been overpromised to and underdelivered. Everybody's been burned in the past. So every way you could stand out looking more credible, more legit, more reputable, all those things are going to be huge in the prospect's eyes. Funny, I might, if I get the time, I'll even play you the voice note. But I had a lady DM me today from my YouTube videos. So guys, my YouTube videos, believe it or not, I put a call to action in them. What's the call to action? DM Ray or connect with them on social media, because I want them, before I'm pitching them, I want them to see some of my content, that I'm a real person, see some of my stuff, right? And if they take the initiative to directly DM me, not just send me a friend request, then they are reaching out saying, hey, Ray, I want help already, which is great. I got one of those today. Watch a few of my YouTube videos, gave me great. It's funny. She's actually, I can show you before I jumped on, she's actually the latest closed deal. My team already closed her today, but she reached out to me this morning off of video. I got back to her with a very in-depth prompt response, and her first message back was, Ray, this just put me over the hump of knowing you guys are legit. You were very prompt to response. You were very thorough, and I've already seen your content and I know what you're talking about. I'm ready to move forward. Connect me with a sales rep. That was it. Like, just because I did everything I just talked about here, I just practiced what I preach. I treated her right. I looked at her questions and said, hey, if I'm you and I'm dealing with this, this is what I would sign up for. This is why, and these are the expectations. And I even reframed her. She's like, hey, I need to see these results in 45 days. I was like, hey, I can't guarantee that. Do a lot of my clients get results in 45 days? Yeah, a majority, I'm not sure. I would give myself at least 60 days to see a clear ROI. And if you're not comfortable with that, this might not be the best thing for you, right? So even that stuff, that didn't disqualify her. That made her go, okay, he just reframed me. I can give it 60 days. That's fair. I'm still wanting to move forward. And it's setting the proper expectations. A lot of business owners just won't do that because they're afraid it might turn off the sale, when I think being honest and transparent leads to more sales, and it definitely leads to a better client experience and them actually, believing they can achieve the results. And a lot of people will be like, oh, yeah, her name was Miranda. Yeah, Miranda, a vast majority of my clients get results in under 45 days. You should too. Like, I could have said that, but no, that's not the right expectation. That's not being 100% honest. I don't do that. And I won't do it for a sale. It's just not ethical in my mind. So what I always like to say, guys, and I'm going to go drop this down so you guys can all have this sheet as well. It's within the checklist, but if you guys just want the link to this separate, I'll go drop it. But one thing we always do, it's this very quick exercise that all of us can do. They're all going to be a little different, but they're going to be a lot of similarities because we're all selling DaaS, right? So there's a lot of similarities. But number one, let's identify the biggest real problem of our market. So me, doing this EAACO framework and speaking with prospects. And when I kind of get to, hey, where are you at and where are you trying to get to and what's the biggest problem? I'm going to see 50% of them say this, 40%, 60%, whatever that largest percentage. Hey, Ray, the biggest problem, the example I gave in this one, I'm getting in conversations, but I'm not converting into deals, right? Maybe that's the problem I hear most. With Audience Labs, specifically for me and our clients, it's more how to stand out in a saturated market, and it's more how to deliver results based off value and not just off lowest price and being first there. That's what our agencies find really valuable. Now, our agencies, the real problem they solve most is rising ad costs, combating or lowering acquisition and cost per lead metrics and really getting ad profitability back to an ideal, an ideal ratio, right? That's probably the most common problem a majority you're going to solve. Is it going to be the same with roofers as it is with e-com stores? No. So you got to really figure that out what that is in your niche. But once you identify it, the real problem in this example that I gave on my screen was no-shows, and that the leads are not qualified enough to value the call. Therefore, they don't show up, right? That kind of goes back into my process too, a little different, but similar. To fix this, we have a follow-up system that gets firm commitments from the lead before even scheduling. Now, where most people go wrong is if they do not fix this, then they just continually get ghosted by low commitment, low level leads, which is a huge opportunity cost as there's no filter and it leads to a business having a tough time being profitable. Does that all make sense? And they're going to be like, hell yeah, that makes sense. Nobody's probably told them this exact solution or recommend. Like, this isn't a common thing. This isn't saying, hey, Bob, you're struggling with your Facebook ads. Go hire an agency. Go take a Facebook ads course. Like, yeah, we hear that every day. That's common knowledge. Most people don't go this in depth and say, hey, this is what we do. This is where most people go wrong. Does that make sense? And if we do this right, they're usually going to say, hell yeah, that makes sense. How do I fix it, Ray? Hey, this is what you do. Here's a video. Here's my link. Grab a date and time that works for you. We'll jam soon, and I'll give you more custom approach on how we can do this for your business, your offer, your objective, whatever that might be, right? So if we can just map out the real problem, the gap or the solution we inject, the knowledge gap, and then the angst or the cost of not fixing this, the cost of inaction, we can also call that, then this is a very simple process on how we can get their mindset from, hey, what he just said makes total sense. Nobody's really mentioned that. Boom, how do I find out more? And that's what we want. We want curiosity. We want interest. We want intrigue. That's what keeps people going deeper into your funnel and showing up to that next step, whether it's a booking, the actual call, the pulling out their credit card and making the purchase, the onboarding call. All that stuff are little subtle call to action that happen throughout the whole process that don't come if you haven't created interest, intrigue, curiosity, so on and so forth, right? So I'm going to drop this document, guys, below in the chat. And if anybody has any questions on anything I covered, anything they want me to go in a bit more depth, or just anything like that I didn't cover at all today that you want me to, just type a 1 in the chat and I will call on you individually, or put the little hand raise emoji up here on Zoom if you know how to do that, and I will call on you individually. Really quick before I do that, and I'll go look in the comments. I know some of you guys might already jotted some stuff, and I've been busy gabbing away like a mile a minute, so I haven't checked it. But again, that last document right there is the link to the EAACO script PDF, which I got through most of it. And I see your thing in there, Mark. I'm gonna call on you 1 minute. Let me just read the comments real quick. Joey, awesome, Joey. Joey, you're my big comment guy. Thanks for the engagement, buddy. At least somebody gave me something to read here. This might be obvious now you say it, but I might have made that rookie error. I don't have the background. Yeah, no, you're right. I think that's true from our conversations, Joey. I think you're probably right. I think you made some assumptions and you didn't really dial that in or really put a lot of thought or effort into it. So I mean, the sooner you realize it and identify it, the sooner we can fix it, right? And optimize. And the person doesn't feel seen. And that's a great point. That's one of the best feedback I got from one of my reps recently. I don't know how many of you guys on the team either attend Danny's call or had Danny Burchard as a rep, but I got a message from a woman that enrolled with him saying, Ray, the sales process was phenomenal. When I spoke with Danny, I truly felt heard for the first time on a sales call. That might be some of the best feedback I can ever get from a client in terms of my sales team, because that's exactly what I embody and embrace. And I love to see that, my whole team kind of bleeds into that culture, for lack of a better phrase, and it kind of oozes off on everybody. I also don't really give people 2 chances either. If you start to be dishonest or say unethical things or do things wrong, you get a warning, you get an opportunity to fix it. But if it's continued, repetitive, that's your mistake at that point, and you're not on my team any longer. So guys, know that setting the proper standards, setting the proper values, and the kind of internal culture that you want your prospects and your audience to see you in, right? So what type of light do we want to be seen as? We want to be seen as a reputable, trustworthy company that actually delivers on our promises. Like, at minimum, that's it. Do we want more? Sure. But like those 3 things, if you can do that, that right now stands out from about 95% of other agencies out there. It really does. So that's kind of my main focus in the background. Cool. So Mark, go ahead. You can go first if you have one more question, and then I'll call. I see a couple of hands raised as well.
Yeah, sure. Great stuff. One off topic, maybe, I guess. I saw someone post in the school forum that there used to be a document available of testimonials, like, just quotes and things like that. And I'm
Yep,
like, I've never seen that, and I
I
never
can
saw
get it
the
over
answer
to
to
you.
that on the school. And so I would like, because I'm going through like the slide decks, and I'm like, okay, I need to use this quote. I need to use this, and
Yeah,
and
the slide decks have somewhere between a half dozen and a dozen. And then
yeah,
we put together a couple documents, which I will send you. I'll go repost it. I mean, I put it in school recently. Do I know exactly where it is right now? Probably not.
yeah,
So I'll go
I might have
repost
missed
it.
it.
No, I'll go repost it so everybody after the call can go look. It will be in school within 20 minutes after this call. Actually, give me 30 minutes because I have a back to back. So maybe I
No
don't get in
worries,
there right away, but
appreciate it.
within the hour, right? I'm going to go post it. And we've created a couple of newer ones that were more niche specific. So one of my testimonial documents and links I'm going to drop in there for everybody. We'll have more home service businesses and stuff. The other one will
That'd
have
be
more e-com and
awesome. Yeah.
SaaS. But yeah, we have a wide variety that we put together in document form. In addition, these are all in addition to and separate from the ones you already see in the pitch deck.
Cool, because I'm using them obviously more and more.
Yeah,
It's incredibly useful. Appreciate it.
I will
Thanks.
go. I will go repost that again, just so everybody can see it, and it'll be right on the top in there, within the hour. Let me go to Mo next.
Hey, so I'd have I have a few questions. I'm actually in the incubator program, pretty much just getting started. I probably should have, I don't know, maybe waited a little bit. I was trying to figure out um my offer and everything like that. And I've kind of narrowed down my offer. I think I want to target dealerships because I sold cars for a while. So I want to target dealerships with pretty much an end the door offer of the Pixel. But there's certain things that I mean, you just mentioned something that I didn't even know about. Like you mentioned that on the Pixel, you can only on the incubator, you can only get like 1,000 records or something like that. What did you mention with that?
With the incubator package, the super pixel, I don't have the parameters right in front of me. I'm 99% sure this is accurate. Don't blame me if I'm off by anything, but I believe you get 2 super pixels with 1,000 identities resolved or matches per pixel. So the incubator program, you have limits. Like basically, if you're to throw the pixel on a site that's getting 50,000 hits, you're only going to be able to resolve 1,000, and then it's capped. You need to upgrade to a plan where you can resolve more identities into a DaaS plan. So the pixel
Okay.
usually is an entry level thing that we're going to slap onto a website, getting anywhere from 2.5 to 5,000 hits. A more newer company or smaller business. If you're dealing with whales and it's a big company, you probably want to upgrade to a DaaS package where you get more resolutions off your pixel. That's what I
Okay.
meant. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's good to know because I have I'm in communication with a dealership, and he mentioned that he has about 30,000 hits on his website a month. You know what I mean? So
So you
that
would only
doesn't
be able
work.
to
So I need
resolve
I
a
probably
fraction
need
if
to
you're on the incubator plan with the current pixel you have.
yeah. So I probably need to target smaller dealerships to start. You know what I
Possibly,
mean?
possibly. Yeah. I mean, maybe until you at least get your first client, or you start and say, hey, let me throw the pixel, even this bigger guy, onto your website. Let me resolve 1,000 leads, and then let me show you. And after you do that, Mo, you go back and say, hey, Mr. Manager of the dealership, right, whoever you're speaking with, here's 1,000 name, email, and phone number and hash profiles, which we can use in retargeting ads of people who visited your website in the last month. You want to buy these leads back? So you could still sell them back 1,000 leads, make more than your probably investment on the program right there, and then maybe
Mhm.
upgrade to a larger pixel. And that's what I might do in that instance.
Yeah,
Just
I
show
I
them the
wouldn't.
data, get 1,000 leads, and sell them the leads back.
Yeah, I wouldn't let it slow you down, Mo. Like you can talk to these people and you could be like, "Hey, listen, this is just the first thing that we're going to do together. Let's walk before we run. Let me make 1,000 of these, things for you, and then we can, you can get them back. We can, see how profitable this thing is for you, and then they're going to like it because you're taking traffic that they're already paying for and giving it back to them, and that's a valuable thing for them if they know what they're doing from a sales perspective, which dealerships typically do. They're going to see an ROI on it. And when they come back to you and they say, yeah, I want to do more, it's easy to take their dollar and flip it over to audience led and just upgrade your account. And they don't know that you started on a light thing. They don't know that you started an incubator. They have no clue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
So
that's how
how
you
much
upgrade
would
out of
you?
profit instead of out of pocket, right? Have them pay
Yep.
for it or have them pay you for services,
Yeah. Make them pay.
however you want to do it.
Make them pay
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
like Aaron said, your thing here is, hey, let me show you I can deliver the results. Let me just throw my pixel on your website. I'm not even going to charge you, and let me show you the people I can resolve. Then, if you like the data and you want the leads back, we can move up and I can resolve a lot more. But let me just show you what I can do before we really get into numbers.
Got you.
Little bit of proof of concept. When I do that personally, I've said this in the past, Mo, I don't think you've been on many workshops, but even when I do like a trial basis, I usually want to make sure they're serious. A dealership with 30,000 hits, they're going to do this, no problem. Hey, Mo, what I'm going to require, I'm not going to charge you anything in terms of the pixel, the performance, the leads. I just want to show you it's working. What I do require for any clients I work with, because of the technology installed on your website and my hard costs, I just need a one-time $500 setup fee to know you're serious and let me install my technology on your website. No commitment, no monthly fees. Let me just show you what I can do, and then we'll negotiate once I show you the leads.
So you don't charge a monthly for that, right? You
Generally
just
speaking,
go
no.
500.
No,
Huh.
I like to do performance off the bat. I've said this on multiple workshops. What I like to do specifically with the Pixel, especially if it's a larger client with significant traffic, I like to start on performance, just get a small setup fee, show them results, and then sell them back per lead, per list at a pretty lucrative amount. That usually turns out to be way more, because if I sell a Pixel and just throw it on there on monthly retainer, personally, I charge $1,500. I'm usually going to make a lot more on these performance deals.
For the setup,
I just charge $1,500 per month for the data we're sending them. So each month
Oh.
we're going to be resolving identities and sending them to them. The base rate I would ever charge for a super pixel, if I'm doing it on monthly retainer, is $1,500.
So
I gotta tell you,
they need
9
a
out
bit
of
of
10
volume.
times, if not more, Joey, I get more than $1,500 per month on a performance deal with a lot less objections or sales resistance, because it's a free trial to start and a proof of concept.
Because they already gain the money back, right?
I mean, yeah, as long as they retarget the leads. I mean, if we sell them back the leads and they don't run ads or email to them, they might not make the money back, but that would be kind of stupid on them. So yeah, generally speaking, if they utilize the data, they're going to make a clear return. I just actually, one of our DaaS clients sent me some numbers. So if you guys ever watched my tutorial, which is number 7 on the 8 things I showed you today about like pixel pricing and how to use that pixel forecast calculator, a client sent me over specific numbers from one of his clients today. The amount of hits they get to the website, in this case, I still remember it off the top of my head, it was 93,000. Their cost per acquisition was about $24. Their website conversion rate was 3.6%, and their average order value was a little over $64. We plugged all that in the Pixel calculator, and it showed they're leaving anywhere between 75 and 80K in revenue on the table each year by not utilizing this tool, which came out to a little over $6,200 a month in revenue or savings for this company. So like, that's a slam dunk. When I get those deals, I'm going to install it. I'm going to get no feedback. Then I'm going to operate off performance basis. And it's going to be worth a few grand instead of $1,500 retainer.
Yeah, I mean, like Mo, I almost sold one by accident. This guy was selling me a course he was doing. He wanted to put his link on my social media, and then I said to him, "So what happens to the clients if they don't buy? How do you?" And I almost sold it, and I was like, "Shit, I can't remember what Ray said about how much the monthly was." So I almost sold it by sheer accident. Like, hey,
well,
what
again,
do you?
so the
what
one
do you do
difference,
with it?
just to specify here, Joey, just because I don't want confusion, sorry to cut you off. The one difference is I'm talking about selling a pixel also at full capacity. So if you're an incubator, again, Joey is, Mo is, some of you guys, you have limited capacity. You can only offer 1,000, resolved identities per pixel. In those cases, I'm probably just doing a monthly retainer or a small performance to get in the door and then moving up. I'm talking about like $1,500 per month, and I can resolve anywhere from 1,000 to 100,000 for them. Like, it wouldn't really matter. Again, most of those I'm going to go off a performance-based compensation deal.
Right. Yeah, but what you were suggesting to Mo is the perfect. Hey, why don't you try it out, and then boom, they've paid our costs, they paid my costs, and now everyone's happy, right? They're making money, we're all making money. So yeah,
the way that I try to look at it is like, regardless of if you're on incubator or if you're on light or wherever you're at, is like, we have access to the data, right? So to us, this is like if we were owned a hotel and the hotel rooms were going unrented. It's useless. You know what's better than zero? Anything. So when you talk to these people and you're like, hey, listen, you know, like I have a few guys who I'm talking with right now, and it's like, I know them, I know they're good people. They just want to see what the thing looks like before they get into, and I didn't want to complicate it with like, hey, let's exchange dollar right now kind of thing. I've got 6 or 7 of these guys like that. I was just like, just let me set you up an audience, man. Just go ahead, plug it in. If you're not blown away, God bless. But when you are, because you will be, then I'm going to talk to you about what a number makes sense for you to sign up with me for 1 year straight, just so I can take care of my costs. Is that cool? And they're like, yeah, sounds great, man. Like, anything is better than
Perfect.
nothing. So like if you can take this data and turn it, and that's what I think the incubator program really exists for. I didn't come in an incubator. I came in on light. So like it's a little bit more pressure on my shoulders, but I'm trying to, get it done anyway. But at the incubator level, you walk in, Mo, you talk to these guys and you figure out a way in order to make it pay for what is incubator for $497 a month or something like
Yeah,
that,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
$500.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, you just get them to
$497.
pay you $500 a month. I mean, if it's a pixel resolution, if it's selling back those leads back to them or whatever the hell it is, it's just $500 for a dealership. You could give less of a
Yeah, and
crap about $500, man. That is a dime. That is a drop in the bucket. You're going to be able to talk to these guys and be like, if they think that they could get one deal per month, it makes total sense to them, and you're going to be able to stack way higher than that. So like, don't let it be a deterrent or anything like that.
And to that
Yeah,
point,
so I
Mo,
have,
just to give you a little more general background in terms of the automotive industry, it's a great niche. It's a great niche, especially if you already have contacts and you know the industry. Even better, we actually have our own Audience Lab automotive division, and we work with some large dealerships, and we've seen crazy results, like very, very good in the automotive industry.
And
So it's a good
and
one, and I'll be honest, very few of my clients are hitting it. So it's
I
still pretty
assume it's
green.
good. I assume it's good because the sales process is probably sharp and they know how to take data and weaponize it into more data. Like that, they're usually on the cutting edge of tech and making sure that things are able to move forward. You're talking to the right people
That
who
and their
can
average
actually
order
talk
value
shop.
is pretty strong too.
Oh, that too. Yeah. I mean, they get it done. And, if they write good paper, then, the dealership's making $8,000 and God, does it make sense to hire you for $3,000 per month? Then that's one deal,
I know
they're
one
just
deal,
printing
two,
money.
3X their investment with you. And
Yeah. They're
I
just
mean,
pumping.
almost every month we're going to send them more than one deal. That's just like worst case scenario. You know what I mean? So really quickly, I see there's a couple more questions. Christina, you had asked, how do I know which plan I'm on? So when you enrolled, number one, I could tell you if you're comfortable either saying or typing your monthly payment and what what you pay each month. That's a good indicator. But when you enrolled, we have different tiers or options. So we have our incubator program, which is our entry level program at $497 per month. Then we have a DaaS 101 at $997, a DaaS growth at $1497. We have different levels. It's really, I mean, it's hard to say without looking into your account right now, and I don't have that in front of me. Feel free to DM me, and I can look up that for you if you want to DM me in school or reach out to the rep that enrolled you. But just by your monthly, price point and what you pay per month is pretty much the key indicator there. Nathan, you had your hand up for a minute and being there patient. What was your question? I want to make sure I get to that here, Nathan.
Hey, what's going on, Ray? So, real quick,
By the way,
just going.
congratulations. Nathan sent me a message the other day saying he closed 2 clients by following some of my recommendations and what I told him about the sales process. So anyway, love to celebrate wins, Nathan. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Awesome.
Nathan.
Yeah, man. We just did the DM setting. We were just kind of hammering the DM setting away and just follow the DM setter training academy. And then we actually got blocked on on Facebook because we were hitting the DMs too hard. I think we got a
That can
spam
happen
account. Yeah.
if you're not careful.
So we kind of slowed it down a little bit, but that's kind of where this question comes in, right? So I set up an email campaign with Reach Inbox and just the stuff that was on Audience Lab to suggest it, just the thing that was on there.
Yep.
And currently going through the email warm up phases on that. I have 10 domains going, and I have a 61% open ratio right now with all the emails I'm sending out. So we want to cold
That's a
call
strong
all the
percentage.
lead. We want to cold call all the leads that make it through the sequence. I just wanted to get your opinion on that because basically we use PDocs and the 7A framework to write a five email sequence,
So
right?
when you
Which
say cold call, just so I'm clear, you're already sending emails. Is there any opt-in or any intent here prior
no,
to the call?
I mean only on email 4 and email 5, but basically like I was kind of getting overwhelmed with all the email stuff because I'm completely new to it, right? So instead of asking for an appointment right away, I just pretty much did an introduction and I can send you the email sequence actually, right? I can send you the
Yeah,
email sequence so you can read it and have a better idea, right?
that's how I
I'll
give you the best feedback for sure.
cool. Cool. I'll
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that. I'll send you
100%. But my basic recommendation, generally speaking, again, this can be a little different for each person. My general recommendation on cold calling the data is kind of if you're not set up for that and you don't have a call center and all the compliance stuff in place, I would be careful and I would take the list and scrub it one more time through an outside do do not call center list. So the data is good and accurate from Audience Lab, and it does run through some of those filters. But before I called it, I would run it through an outside source and just make sure those numbers aren't on a do not call list already to be 100% compliant.
Cool.
That'd be my
Cool.
basic recommendation, just to cover your you know what.
Yep, definitely. So I'll send you that email sequence because I definitely want to get your insight on the messaging, right? And just kind of go from there because I was like, we could probably email these guys, with an offer afterwards.
Gotcha. Okay, guys. So for me, and I got to wrap up here because I'm already late for my next one. But for me, some next action points based on this call. Mark, I'm looking into audience send, Mark Stefan. I'm looking into audience send and what's going on there and having my tech team. So I'll get back to you on that very, very quickly. And the two posts that are going to be coming shortly after this call is my first one I'm going to do will be the links to the extra testimonials or the recent testimonials that you guys had asked for. I'll drop 2 separate links with different, niches and industries and multiple case studies in each. And then a little later today, once this all transcribes, I'll have this call recording also posted in school. So really quickly, the link post to the testimonials, I'm going to drop in the announcement section, and this call will be dropped into the sales channel within school. So those will all be posted here shortly. I just got to click off here and go run to one more call.
Sounds good.
Mo,
Thanks, Ray.
Mo, did you have one more question you want to get in real quick?
Yeah, so I had the guy that I was talking to. Now that I know that, 2 questions real quick. One, what would you charge for the leads if you were charging them per lead? And then 2, he had a big compliance question. He was like, well, okay, he's like, I want the data. He's like, if I can get names and numbers, he's like, yeah, but what can I do with the data? Can I
So
cold
I go
call the
over that
data? Can
often. I have a few tutorials on it. I'll break it down real quick, but I think I go over this damn near every week, and I have multiple quick little tutorials if you want to go through it and just jot this down. But really quickly, when they ask about compliance, number one, the compliance is most applicable and contingent upon how we reactivate and reach out to the data. So the data itself is 100% legal and compliant. Now, how we do the outreach within ads, if I'm taking this data and looping it into retargeting ads, it's pretty much no compliancy restrictions at all. Again, outside of, I just want to say special categories. If we're talking like adult products and, over 18, and cannabis and that, there can certainly be restrictions and compliance stuff and things.
would a car dealership fall under special categories?
No. I'm talking about like over 18 products only. Do you need to be, you could buy a car at any age if you got the right bank account. They don't vet your age really. As long as you have a license, right? But no, I'm talking about like alcohol, cannabis, sexual stuff, like that kind of stuff, adult categories. So no, within your industry, there'd be no restrictions. In terms of email, SMS, and cold calling the data, within email, as long as we loop in the 4 compliance aspects to a cold email, we're fine. And an email that is your name, your business address, and a clear opt-out. So as long as you have that in your email, in addition to the body, right, the subject, you are 100% compliant. With SMS, it's just 3 of those 4 things to be compliant. You don't need the business address. So your name, your business name, and a clear opt-out, as long as that's in. And again, if we're cold calling the data, I don't highly recommend it. And that's probably the most common areas you're going to run into compliance or legal issues. So I recommend if they don't have an internal call center and that's not their normal business model, I wouldn't recommend they cold call the data. If they do, same thing I just told, I think it was Nathan that asked, or whoever just asked a minute ago, I think it was Nathan, I would run it through an outside do not call center list just to make sure none of the data is, already saying, hey, don't call me. There will be a compliance issue. So that's a quick breakdown. I have a few tutorials on that and some documentation and stuff if you need further. But again, when people ask about compliant, it's the data itself is 100% legal and compliant. Most of their issues are on how to reactivate it. So the conversation you need to have with people is, hey Mo, if I give you this data, how do you guys normally market to it? Well, we like to run ads. Oh, great. It's always going to be compliant. Like, no worries. We're going to run ads in email. Great. That's going to be fine as long as your emails have X, Y, and Z, which damn near every dealership or marketer already knows. But we can be so every time I work with a client, I always film 2 tutorials I send them, whether this is, a hands-off agency or a more full stack. Maybe with the more full stack, if I'm doing everything for them, I wouldn't necessarily send this. But the more hands-off agency is, number one, I show them best applications for the data. So I go through why they should use it in ads, when they should use it in email, SMS, cold calling, what are best practices, what performs best and why. Then I make a second tutorial just about the compliance restrictions. And I send that to them with their first list or their first, data, their first data entry, for lack of a better phrase. So I do that. Of course, I'll specify, I don't film that for every client specifically. I film that tutorial once and I use it over and over again. So each client's like, hey, this is the best way to, activate the data. This is the way to make sure to be compliant when you do the outreach. This is what we recommend to get the best ROI for your dollar, right? So it's all about setting the right expectations.
And they always want to know where we get the data from, which is frustrating because I never know what to say about that.
Yeah,
Right?
this is how I would answer. Joey asked me.
Where do you get the data from?
Yeah, so I get the data from a super graph in a platform on a data provider that I paid a hefty licensing fee to get access to. So basically, the licensing agreement I have gives me access to a super graph, Joey, with over 280 million profiles, up to 60 billion URLs, and up to 1.9 trillion behaviors you analyze daily. I can go build you an in-market list and upload it right into your marketing. I don't tell them who I'm buying the license from or who the provider is. Fuck you.
Exactly.
Go figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
But I just say I paid a hefty fee to get a license and get access to this, and now I can offer it to you at wholesale cost.
Love it.
Very simple conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll get that question, Mo.
Oh yeah, you'll get it. But
You'll get it with the compliance question. I got it.
yeah, and if you just always answer like that, just have a very basic conversation. Say, hey man, to be honest, I paid a hefty fee to get licensing access to this, so I can bring it to you, small to mid-sized businesses, at wholesale cost. Now, do you want the same data that you're? And I always reference a category king when I say this. So if I'm dealing with retail, hey Joey, what if I could get you the same data that Target and Walmart have access to, and you could actually compete on dollar per dollar cost per acquisition? Do you know that small and mid-sized businesses have access to this data? Yeah, they didn't before guys like me. Right. So put yourself as the hero, and you're there to serve small and local businesses and give them the same competitive edges that all the category kings get.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's
all right, guys.
you'll get that question, man.
Yeah, I gotta hop off. I'll follow up on the things I said I would post and send you guys. And Mark McCarthy Smith, I know you're on for the next call. Give me 2 minutes and I'll hop right back on and we'll jam on that call.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
guys.
Bye-bye.